First Contact's Price. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of the ISS Resilient, Earth's first antimatter-powered vessel, watching the strange object that had appeared in lunar orbit 12 hours ago. The massive crystalline structure pulsed with internal light, its geometric patterns shifting in ways that defied conventional physics. After centuries of wondering if we were alone in the universe, they had finally shown themselves. Admiral, her XO, Commander James Rodriguez, approached with a tablet. The translation matrix has finished processing their latest transmission. You'll want to see this. The message was brief but clear. You have been observed. You have been judged. You have been found wanting. Prepare for integration or elimination. Sarah smiled, a reaction that caught her XO off guard. Mom, send the phase omega signal, she ordered, her voice steady. And patch me through to the Shadowkeeper facilities. Deep beneath the surface of Mars, Mercury, and several asteroid bases, massive doors began to open. Humanity's real fleet emerged, not the civilian and exploration vessels they'd allowed to be seen, but the true armada they'd been building in secret for the past 50 years. You see, humanity had known about their watchers for decades. The first hints came when Dr. Elena Rossi detected quantum distortions around Earth's major cities in 2157. Instead of panic, the world's leaders made an unprecedented decision. Complete secrecy and unified preparation. The crystalline ship's next transmission came with more force. Your primitive weapons cannot harm us. We have monitored your development. We know your capabilities. That's where you're wrong, Sarah muttered. She opened a channel to the alien vessel. This is Admiral Chen of the Earth Defense Force. We've been expecting you. In fact, we've been watching you watch us. The alien response came quickly, their translated words carrying a hint of confusion. Impossible. Your species lacks the technology for such detection. Sarah's smile grew wider. Did you ever wonder why we continued using seemingly inefficient rocket technology? Why we made such a show of struggling with basic space travel? Every failure, every setback, carefully orchestrated. We needed you to keep underestimating us. The Shadowkeeper fleet moved into position, 500 ships utilizing technology that had been developed in absolute secrecy. Their hulls were coated with metamaterials that absorbed all scanning attempts. Their engines operated on principles the aliens had never considered because they'd dismissed human theoretical physics as primitive. You see, Sarah continued, we figured out something about your civilization. You're advanced. Yes, but you're stagnant. You stopped innovating centuries ago. You rely on the same technologies, the same strategies, the same assumptions. That was your mistake. The alien vessel's lights pulsed rapidly, their equivalent of alarm, human xenologists suspected. More ships began emerging from fold space around it, taking defensive positions. Your choices are simple, Sarah declared. You can recognize Earth as a sovereign power and engage in honest diplomatic relations, or you can learn exactly how much humanity has advanced while you weren't really looking. A tense silence followed. Sarah knew the aliens were processing this complete upheaval of their assumptions. Their next words proved they were capable of learning. We request diplomatic dialogue. Sarah nodded to her XO. Signal the Artemis protocol teams and inform the alien vessel that Earth's diplomatic course will meet them on neutral ground, the Mars Conference Facility. As the situation stabilized, Sarah reflected on humanity's journey to this moment. The years of unified purpose, the sacrifices made to maintain the deception, the technological leaps achieved in secret. They had turned their observers' arrogance into humanity's greatest advantage. The real first contact was about to begin, not on the aliens' terms, but on humanity's, and that would make all the difference. The hidden edge. The Mars Conference Facility gleamed under the red planet's sky, its transparent dome revealing Earth hanging like a blue jewel in the distance. Inside, Dr. Maya Patel adjusted her collar as she prepared to reveal humanity's greatest technological achievements to the alien delegation. The Arxur representatives sat across the table, their crystalline bodies refracting light in complex patterns. Their leader, designated as first speaker, resembled a carefully carved diamond with swirling clouds of color inside. They had expected to find primitive beings ready for uplifting. Instead, they found equals who had outwitted them for decades. "Let's begin with your first question," Maya said, activating a holographic display. "You wondered how we detected your observation posts. Project Oracle." The display showed a network of quantum sensors hidden in ordinary weather satellites. "We noticed the gravitational microfluctuations from your cloaked facilities in 2157. Rather than alert you, we built our entire space program around hiding our awareness." The first speaker's internal lights pulsed rapidly. "Impossible. Our phasing technology was based on dimensional shifting." "Yes," Maya interrupted. "Brilliant technology, but it assumes everyone is looking for traditional energy signatures. We instead looked for what wasn't there: the quantum shadows your facilities cast on space-time itself." She switched the display to show the Shadowkeeper fleet's specifications. "Every failed rocket launch taught us something about your scanning capabilities. Every accident was a carefully planned test of a new countermeasure. While you watched us struggle with chemical rockets, we were perfecting antimatter containment in underground facilities." The second speaker, a smaller crystalline being with azure swirls, leaned forward. "Your deception required global cooperation. Our studies indicated human nations were incapable of such unity." Maya smiled. "That was our greatest achievement. Operation Umbrella united Earth, not through force or fear, but through purpose. When people understood what was at stake, ancient rivalries became meaningless. We maintained just enough visible conflict to keep your anthropologists convinced of our disunity." The hologram shifted to show the Mars base's true extent: vast underground cities and research facilities, hidden from the Arxur's sensors by technology that didn't officially exist. "While you watched our clumsy Mars rovers, we were building this. We learned to bend light around our major installations, to mask energy signatures by channeling them through dimensional pockets. Your species was rated as Category 3, primitive industrial," the first speaker said, its tone carrying what humans had learned to recognize as confusion. "Your technological progress should have taken centuries more." "That's because you measure progress linearly," Maya explained. "Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to take conceptual leaps. When we discovered your quantum wake signatures, we didn't just develop countermeasures. We reimagined what was possible." She revealed the pride of Earth's hidden achievements, the consciousness transfer matrix. "While you focused on physical technology, we explored the intersection of quantum mechanics and consciousness. Every member of Earth's defense forces can transfer their consciousness to backup bodies in case of death. We solved human mortality while you thought we were still working on nuclear fusion." The Arxur delegation's collective light patterns showed their shock. Their civilization had considered consciousness transfer theoretically impossible. Yet here was a supposedly primitive species, casually demonstrating mastery of technologies that bypassed centuries of conventional development. "We don't share this to boast," Maya continued, her tone softening. "We share this because true cooperation requires honest understanding. Earth doesn't want conflict. We want alliance, but an alliance of equals, not masters and servants." The first speaker was silent for a long moment, its internal lights shifting through complex patterns. Finally, it spoke. "We have existed for 10,000 years, believing we understood the path of technological progress. In 50 years, your species has proven that everything we assumed about development was wrong." Maya nodded. "That's why we need each other. You have millennia of experience and knowledge. We have the ability to see past established limitations. Together, we could achieve things neither of our civilizations could manage alone." As if to emphasize her point, the facility's quantum sensors detected a massive disturbance at the edge of the solar system. All eyes turned to the emergency display as a new threat emerged, one that would test both civilizations' capabilities to their limits. Breaking chains. The emergency displays in the Mars conference facility blazed with warnings as massive energy signatures appeared at the edge of the solar system. The void between Neptune and Pluto lit up with purple-black tears in spacetime, rifts that shouldn't exist according to conventional physics. Harbingers. The first speaker's crystalline form dimmed with what humans had learned was their expression of dread. "They have found us." Admiral Chen, who had been silently observing the diplomatic meetings, stepped forward. "You know these entities." The second speaker's colors swirled frantically. "They are why we monitor developing civilizations. The Harbingers emerge every few centuries, destroying any civilization that reaches a certain technological threshold. We survived their last attack 500 years ago by appearing primitive. It shaped our entire approach to technological development." Maya Patil quickly connected the dots. "That's why your technology stagnated. You deliberately stopped advancing to avoid their attention. And why you suppress other civilizations' development." Admiral Chen added, "You weren't being malicious. You were trying to protect us by keeping us below their radar." The first speaker pulsed in agreement. "But your hidden advancement has drawn them. We must evacuate your system immediately. Nothing has ever stopped the Harbingers." Admiral Chen shared a look with Maya. "How do they typically attack?" "They consume energy," the first speaker explained. "They drain all power sources, from starship cores to planetary magnetic fields. Without power, civilizations collapse. Billions die as systems fail." Maya's eyes lit up with the kind of inspiration that had helped humanity survive countless challenges. "They feed on energy." "Admiral, remember the Prometheus Protocol?" Chen nodded slowly, a smile forming. "The failed power plant experiment that we actually succeeded in hiding from our observers." First speaker, "We need to know. Have you ever tried giving the Harbingers too much energy?" The crystalline beam's confusion was evident in its flickering patterns. "Too much. The more energy available, the more they consume. It only makes them stronger." "Not necessarily," Maya interjected. She quickly pulled up schematics on the holographic display. "Humanity developed something we call the Prometheus trap. It's an energy generation system that creates a cascading quantum reaction. The more energy drawn from it, the more it produces, exponentially. We built it as a potential power source," Chen explained, "but it was too unstable. The energy output would increase beyond any containment system's capacity. We could never figure out how to stop the reaction once it started." Understanding dawned in the first speaker's crystalline facets. "You want to overfeed them." "Exactly," Maya confirmed. "If they operate like energy vampires, let's give them fatal indigestion. We have 3 Prometheus devices in storage. We never dismantled them because we couldn't safely approach them once activated." The next few hours were a blur of activity. The Shadowkeeper fleet moved into defensive positions while Earth's scientists worked alongside Arxer engineers to modify the Prometheus devices. The aliens' experience with advanced energy systems combined with humanity's radical thinking produced something entirely new. As the Harbingers approached Mars, surrounded by dozens of smaller rifts, humanity revealed another secret. The supposedly primitive Mars rovers had deposited hundreds of quantum-linked transmission nodes across the planet's surface. Within hours, they had a planet-wide energy distribution network ready. "They're within range," Chen announced. "All personnel to shelter positions. Maya, you're up." Maya took a deep breath and activated the first Prometheus device. The effect was immediate. The nearest rift, a tear in space the size of Earth's moon, turned toward them like a predator sensing prey. It approached Mars, drawn by the enormous energy signature. "Energy output exceeding previous records," Maya reported. "The reaction is feeding on their attempt to drain it. Quantum cascade beginning." The rift engulfed the energy beam and started to distort. Its edges flickered and warped as the Prometheus device forced more and more energy into it. The other rifts began to show signs of distress, their purple-black surfaces rippling like disturbed water. Second device activating, Maya announced. Third device standing by. The first speaker watched in amazement as the Harbinger rifts began to collapse in on themselves, overwhelmed by the uncontrollable energy being forced into their systems. In 10,000 years, no civilization has ever. Sometimes the best defense is a deadly overdose, Chen said grimly. Maya hit them with the third device. Let's end this. The combined output of 3 Prometheus devices created a light show visible from Earth. The Harbinger rifts twisted, contorted, and finally imploded, leaving behind only scattered radiation and a profound silence. When the sensor readings stabilized, the first speaker turned to the human leaders. You did not just save your solar system. You have freed the galaxy from a cycle of fear that has lasted millennia. The Arxer Collective owes humanity a debt we can never repay. Admiral Chen shook her head. No debts, but we would appreciate a real alliance, one where we share knowledge openly and face future challenges together. The first speaker's crystalline form glowed with new colors, ones that the human scanologists would later identify as hope. Perhaps it is we who need to be uplifted. Your civilization has much to teach us about the virtues of unconventional thinking. As the immediate crisis passed, both species began to realize that this was more than just a victory over an ancient enemy. It was the beginning of a partnership that would reshape the galaxy's future, one where progress would no longer be feared, but embraced. Guardians rise. 1 month after the defeat of the Harbingers, Earth's orbital space had transformed. Massive Arxer construction ships worked alongside human vessels, building what would become the Sol system's first integrated defense and research center. The crystalline spires of Arxer architecture merged seamlessly with the practical efficiency of human design, creating something entirely new. In the newly constructed Harmony Station, Dr. Maya Patel stood before a mixed audience of humans and Arxer, presenting the preliminary findings from the Harbinger encounter. The station's quantum blast viewport behind her showed Earth below, its night side glittering with city lights. The data we gathered during the Harbinger defeat has revealed something extraordinary, Maya explained, manipulating the holographic display. The rifts they created weren't just tears in spacetime. They were symptoms of a universe trying to heal itself. The first speaker, now formally known as Unity, moved forward. Explain, please. This contradicts our understanding of the Harbingers as purely destructive entities. That's because we were all looking at it wrong, Maya said, expanding the display to show complex quantum measurements. The Harbingers weren't attacking civilization. They were drawn to specific energy signatures that they perceived as threats to spacetime stability. Our Prometheus devices didn't just overload them. They showed them a different way to achieve their purpose. Admiral Chen, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. You're saying they were some kind of universal immune system. More like automated maintenance drones, Maya corrected. Ancient ones, probably left behind by whatever civilization existed before the current universe's expansion. They were trying to prevent something they were programmed to stop at all costs. The revelation sent ripples of light cascading through the Arxer representatives. Unity spoke, its crystalline form pulsing with intense colors. The ancient collapse. Our oldest records speak of a catastrophe that nearly ended all existence. We always assumed it was allegorical. Maya nodded. The Harbingers were preventing civilizations from reaching the same technological level that caused that collapse. But their programming was flawed, stuck in a loop that could only see threats, never solutions. And the Prometheus reaction showed them an alternative. Chen added, beginning to understand. By creating a stable energy cascade that actually strengthened spacetime instead of weakening it, we proved there was another way. Maya finished. That's why they didn't just die. They transformed. Those energy patterns we detected after the implosion. They're still out there, but they're different now. They're helping repair the damage they caused over the millennia. The implications weren't lost on anyone in the room. Humanity hadn't just saved current civilizations. They had potentially prevented the need for such intervention ever again. But it also meant they had a responsibility to ensure this knowledge was used wisely. Unity turned to address both human and Arxer audiences. For 10,000 years, the Arxer Collective has guided younger civilizations with the goal of protecting them. We now understand that our methods, while well-intentioned, were fundamentally flawed. We sought to prevent progress when we should have been nurturing innovation. Admiral Chen stepped up beside the crystalline being. And humanity's isolation led us to develop technologies and approaches no one had considered before. Neither path alone was perfect, but together, Unity continued, we can create something unprecedented. A galactic civilization that embraces progress while understanding its responsibilities. One that innovates not just for advancement's sake, but for the preservation and improvement of all. The next few hours were spent outlining a new framework for galactic cooperation. The Arxer would share their vast knowledge and experience, while humanity would help other civilizations think beyond conventional limitations. Together, they would guide the galaxy's younger species not through suppression, but through mentorship and protection. As the meeting concluded, Maya found herself at the viewport, watching a group of human and Arxer ships working together to construct a new defensive platform. Admiral Chen joined her. Having second thoughts about revealing all our secrets, Chen asked. Maya shook her head. No, if the Harbinger incident taught us anything, it's that isolation and secrecy, while sometimes necessary, can't be a permanent solution. The universe is too big, too complex for any civilization to face its challenges alone. Speaking of challenges, Chen said, pulling up a data pad, long-range sensors are picking up some interesting signals from the Andromeda Galaxy, patterns that look surprisingly similar to pre-transformation Harbinger signatures. Maya smiled. Well, I suppose we should introduce ourselves before they introduce themselves to us. After all, we now know that sometimes the best way to prevent a crisis is to help solve the problem that would cause it. As they discussed the possibilities, more ships arrived in Earth orbit, representatives from other civilizations that the Arxer had previously kept isolated, now invited to join in this new age of cooperation and discovery. The galaxy was changing, and at its heart was an alliance forged between a species that had learned to hide its light and one that had hidden from advancement itself. The age of secrets was over. The age of guardians had begun. New dawn. 5 years after the Harbinger incident, the Sol system had become the heart of a transformed galaxy. The newly established stellar Concordat headquarters orbited Jupiter, its massive structure a testament to the combination of Arxer engineering and human innovation. Inside the Grand Assembly Chamber, representatives from over 1,000 civilizations gathered for what would become a historic moment. Admiral Sarah Chen, now bearing the title of First Guardian, stood at the central podium. Beside her, Unity's crystalline form gleamed with subtle colors that reflected off the polished walls. The chamber hummed with anticipation as delegates from formerly isolated species mingled with their neighbors for the first time. 5 years ago, Chen began, her voice carrying across the chamber. 2 civilizations that had every reason to distrust each other chose cooperation over conflict. Today, we extend that choice to all of you. The main display activated, showing a real-time map of the Andromeda Galaxy. Scattered throughout it were familiar purple-black rifts, the same kind that had once heralded the arrival of harbingers in the Milky Way. As many of you know, we've detected signs of another ancient defense system activating in Andromeda. But this time, we're not waiting for it to find us. We're not hiding, and we're not running. We're going to help them evolve, just as the harbingers of our galaxy evolved. Dr. Maya Patel stepped forward, her years of working with the transformed harbingers evident in her confident demeanor. The entities we once feared as destroyers now serve as space-time stabilizers, helping maintain the fabric of our universe. They work alongside our civilizations, not against them. The Andromeda system doesn't need to learn this lesson through conflict. We can teach them through example. Unity moved to join them, its crystalline surface rippling with passionate colors. The Arxer Collective spent millennia believing that safety lay in stagnation. Humanity showed us that true security comes from facing challenges together, from combining wisdom with innovation. Today, we offer that lesson to the galaxy at large. The chamber's displays shifted to show the massive fleet gathering near the galactic core, ships of all designs and origins, crewed by species that had once been kept apart by fear and misunderstanding. At its heart was the Prometheus Armada, a joint human Arxer task force equipped with refined versions of the technology that had transformed the Harbingers. But this mission is about more than preventing a crisis, Chen continued. It's about establishing something unprecedented, a multi-galaxy civilization built on cooperation and shared progress. Every species here has something unique to contribute, some perspective that could unlock new possibilities. Maya activated another display, showing the incredible advances of the past 5 years. Worlds once deemed uninhabitable now thrived with adapted life forms. Diseases once thought incurable had been conquered by combining different species' medical knowledge. Energy crises had been solved through the integration of various technological approaches. We stand at a threshold, Unity announced, its voice resonating with crystalline clarity. Beyond it lies not just the exploration of new galaxies, but the creation of a civilization that can shepherd the very universe itself. The Harbingers were created to prevent destruction. We now have the opportunity to create something far greater. Chen raised her hand, and the displays showed one final image, the first clear picture of a transformed Harbinger, its purple-black mass, now shot through with streams of golden light. This is what evolution looks like. Not the destruction of what came before, but its transformation into something greater. Today, we invite every civilization here to join us in that transformation. The chamber erupted in approval, thousands of species signaling their agreement in their own unique ways. The vote that followed was unanimous. The stellar Concordat would reach out to Andromeda not as conquerors or defenders, but as teachers and guides. Later, in the quieter space of the observation deck, Chen, Maya, and Unity watched the assembled fleet prepare for its historic journey. "Did you ever imagine this?" Maya asked, gesturing to the vast array of ships. "When we were hiding our advances from the Arxer observers, did you think it would lead here?" Chen smiled. "Honestly, I was just hoping we'd survive first contact. But this..." She watched as a group of newly transformed Harbingers moved through the fleet, strengthening the space-time fabric around the ships. "This is better than survival. This is evolution." Unity's crystalline form pulsed with warm light. Perhaps that was humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy, not your technology or your tactics, but your ability to imagine better possibilities, to see beyond the apparent limitations of reality. And perhaps the Arxer's greatest gift was showing us the value of patience and wisdom, Maya added. Together, we're more than either of us could have been alone. As the final preparations were made for the journey to Andromeda, the three leaders watched their joint creation take shape. The Stellar Concordat wasn't just an alliance or an organization. It was a new way of existing in the universe, one that recognized that true strength comes not from hiding or hoarding power, but from sharing it, growing it, and using it wisely. The dawn of a new era wasn't just breaking over Earth or the Milky Way. It was breaking over the entire cosmos. And for the first time in the history of the universe, civilization wasn't just advancing. It was evolving into something greater than the sum of its parts.